I now give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would like to thank the Secretary General for his annual report and for his continued personal leadership in strengthening one of the most consequential partnerships for the maintenance of international peace and security that is embodied by the cooperation between the United Nations and the African Union. Let me also thank good friends SRSG, Parfait, Ananga Nyanga, Ambassador Muhammad Fateh Ahmed Idris, new permanent observer of African Union to the UN, and ASG Martha Pobi for their detailed and invaluable briefings. Mr. President, rooted in the 2017 joint UN-AU framework for enhanced partnership in peace and security, this relationship represents the most advanced expression of regional cooperation under Chapter 8 of the UN Charter. No other region enjoys such structured engagement. Annual joint consultative meetings and high-level seminars between the Security Council and the AU Peace and Security Council, the Secretary General's regular dialogues with the chairperson of the AU Commission, and monthly coordination meetings between the two presidencies of the two councils have demonstrated that regional voices can shape global action when guided by mutual respect and shared purpose. This cooperation has been vital in responding to African crisis in particular. The two councils have worked in tandem on Sudan, South Sudan, the Central African Republic, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, aligning political and peacekeeping efforts with regional initiatives. The Somalia transition from ATMIS to AWSOM and collective responses to the Sahel and Lake Chad Basin illustrate how joint planning and predictable support can determine the success of African-led operations. The Secretary General's report also offers a sobering reminder. While institutional coordination between the UN and AU has matured, more needs to be done to improve political coherence. Responses to African crises are too often filtered through extra-regional lenses of geopolitical competition, commercial interests, financial constraints, selective humanitarianism, and at times the old mindset that shapes particular agendas and serve influence and interest more than stability in the region. This Council must move away from externally imposed models of stabilization and toward context-specific political strategies designed and endorsed by African actors. It must be understood that sustainable peace cannot be imposed. It must be locally owned and regionally reinforced. A shift of panholdership on African issues to African members of the Security Council can be instrumental in this regard. Mr. President, Africa's common positions and strong voice on other key objectives of the organization, particularly on development, reinforces the fundamental interlinkage between durable peace and security and development, and that makes Africa and the African Union indispensable partners of the UN in our peace-building endeavors and for advancing conflict prevention and peaceful settlement of disputes. Many of the priorities mentioned by the briefers, including security sector reform, the DDRR processes, counterterrorism, and other issues such as illegal exploitation of natural resources can be effectively addressed by AU-UN cooperation. And apart from the African Union, which is the overarching regional organization, Africa has effective and dynamic sub-regional organizations from ECOWAS to SADC to EAC, ECAS, and IGAD that further enriches the AU-UN partnership. The African members of this council, the A3 and the A3 Plus, have emerged as a cohesive and credible bloc, bridging Addis Ababa and New York and ensuring that Africa's collective voice is reflected in the Council's work. Guided by our consistent commitment to the principle of African solutions to African problems, Pakistan coordinates closely with A3 Plus and consults countries concerned on mandate renewals, sanctions, and country-specific resolutions. Pakistan also continues its long-standing contribution to peacekeeping and peace building in Africa. The unanimous adoption of Resolution 2719 was a watershed moment, establishing a framework for predictable financing of AU-led peace operations. Technical readiness for implementation of 2719 now exists. What is missing is the political will. The implementation of 2719 will give this partnership the necessary impetus and credibility to deliver results on ground. Pakistan favors its early implementation, as has also been stressed by ASG Mathapobi. Mr. President, to sustain progress, AU-UN cooperation must be anchored in the principles of complementarity and collective responsibility. We must institutionalize joint planning and financing mechanisms and ensure that African perspectives drive Council deliberations on African issues. This partnership must not only respond to crises, but actually build resilient peace owned by Africa, supported by the United Nations, and sustained by our collective resolve. Pakistan remains committed to advancing these goals in solidarity with our African partners. We look forward to further discussions on these issues in Addis Ababa next week. I thank you.